Near mint condition, the home of collected editions.
And check out that eye, that's exactly what we want to see. Woo, look at that panel, baby. And that, as they say, is that. One of my most anticipated releases of the month is here, and that is the Ghost Compendium Volume 1. I am the Uncanny Omar, you're watching Near Mint Condition, the home of collected editions, and today I'm going to give you an advanced look at this big book from Dark Horse Comics, so join me. And welcome back, everybody. So here we have the latest compendium from Dark Horse Comics, and they've been doing omnibus editions like this, but in trade paperback format, which is what this is, by the way. I want to go ahead and let people know this is a soft cover. Ghost Compendium, Volume 1, Dark Horse Comics down there, and then the back here, Eliza Cameron is dead, murdered in cold blood, which is actually, yes, what Ghost is. Another Spirit of Vengeance. I just talked about Spectre and then Ghost Rider Omnibus Volume 2. So, it's awesome that I get to talk about another type of Spirit of Vengeance. The ISBN, with the retail price of this book being $59.99. This beautiful Adam Hughes image right here of our main character, who will not rest until she delivers death upon those that hurt her. So yeah, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to open the book up and talk about this type of stories that we can find in here. And of course, look at this big, beautiful artwork and look at the extras and look at the build, because this one is actually, just go ahead and tell you, it feels like they did something a little bit different by curving like the hinges. So we'll see how it holds up when we look at the build of the book. Okay, let's go ahead and open this compendium up, and there is your title page, Ghost Compendium Volume 1. Another piece by Adam Hughes, Dark Horse logo, Compendium Volume 1. And your table of contents, where you're going to find each and every one of these issues, and when they... Nope, they don't put when they came out, sorry. Actually, no, they do, but they put it on the actual behind the cover. What am I doing right now? I'm making sure you all saw that there are page numbers. But this will tell you how it's mapped. And it's actually mapped glorious. There's really very, very, very little that is missing from here. And I'm curious as to why something is missing, but I'll talk about that here in a second. There is this introduction right here. In your hands, you hold 7 years worth of Ghost Comics, curated Ghost Comics, and they do explain why they use the word curated, because you're not going to get 100% everything here. So collected in here, let's talk about that first, because you get her first appearance. You get Comics Greatest World Arcadia Week 3, the Ghost Special number 1, Ghost Series 1, 1 through 12, and then it's broken up with a decade of Dark Horse number 2, and then you go back to issue 13 through 36, Ghost Special number 2 and 3, and Dark Horse presents 145 through 147. 1,104 pages. This is a chunker. $59.99, and I mean that in the most complimentative way. Okay, let's talk about Ghost, because this is where it gets a little bit crazy, especially when you're dealing with a character's first appearance that's in the middle of kind of like this event, and how Dark Horse was kind of doing their stories back then. So, Ghost is a character that first appears in this issue right here, the Comics Greatest World Arcadia. And Arcadia means the district, the city that she's going to be residing. There are other heroes here that are also in Arcadia, one of them being X. Some of the characters that are going to be through here you will be familiar with. And what's happening right now is she's investigating exactly what happened to her. She doesn't know who she is. She doesn't know how she got here. And she knows that she can make her body tangible if she wants to use those guns. So she meets the character of X. He's beating up this guy, and she also wants information from the same guy. Then we move on to the Ghost Special, which is the same kind of story where she is learning to use her body. Like, she knows that she's a spectral form, and she doesn't know exactly what happened to her. She has very little information, but here she actually starts having flashbacks. She visits the cemetery where she ends up seeing somebody here in a little bit that she's going to build this really interesting rapport with. But all of it leads to these other guys named Joe Jimbo, which is of course a take on Yo Jimbo, and this guy right here, who she thinks is to blame for maybe killing her, or partially killing her. So she learns to use, again, her powers. Like, maybe she can take a physical form, and she can face in and out of it. And this is McCready, by the way. She becomes a spectral form again, and tries to take these characters down. In this special, she finds that her family is still alive, that she has this sister who she doesn't remember. All she says is, she looks like me, like a younger version of me. And that's really where we are at the very beginning of the next story, which is Ghost number 1, after she takes down those bad guys. Now, there is an editor's note here telling you that the story continues in the pages of X number 8, and some things get resolved, but her story continues really in Ghost number 1, where she's looking for her sister Margot. So in here, we have the first 3 issues that are drawn by Adam Hughes, and you're going to see a lot of artists' name that are very familiar to you from the world of comics, even if you're not familiar with this 90s era of comics. So she meets this guy, or not really meets, she kind of, in a weird way, stalks this guy at the cemetery. This is the guy named Peter Navelli, who's mourning. He's at a tombstone, and she kind of is eavesdropping on what he's doing there. But she starts kind of growing attached to this guy while trying to find her sister, and apparently her sister's caught up with some bad guys. There's a lot of demons, and one of the things that she learns is how to teleport in this first issue. Unfortunately, there is a side effect with her teleporting, and that is going through hell. And another side effect, what happens is that as she's going through hell, she accidentally brings back somebody with her. And this is a guy that kind of becomes her first villain. And his name is, oh my gosh, is it Nemo? Cameron Nemo, who's this guy that wears a creepy mask. And you'll see him here in a little bit. This guy right here kind of becomes her first villain. So little by little, you get to know more about her past. And you find out that her real name, that Ghost's real name, is Eliza Cameron. And her mom and dad, as of the beginning, are still alive. And her sister, as of the beginning, is still alive. I don't want to spoil what happens later. Maybe they're still alive by the end of all these 1,100 pages. I will leave you to find out. But she finds out that her parents were really bad off. Like, they were addicted to all kinds of drugs and alcohol. And Margot was, also not doing well for herself. So she ends up getting killed. She was a reporter, and during one of her jobs, she ends up getting killed. So the first few issues are about investigating exactly who she is and what her past is like. Through these issues, you're going to see her team up a lot with X, Barbed Wire showing up through here, and other Dark Horse characters at the time. One that I'm very interested how they were able to use here in a little bit. I'll show you. And the first few issues are done by none other than Adam Hughes. Then you get some Terry Dotson artwork. You get Doug Braithwaite later on. And then a lot of early Yvonne Hayes art. So this is really kind of split up into 3 different big stories. You have the first storyline with the villain of Cameron Nemo. It's a demon that has escaped that hell. But is it really a hell? Like, what exactly is that demon, and what exactly is that hell? Or is it all in her mind? Who are all those demons down there if it's all in her mind? And Here, let me show you one of the characters that I was talking about. Yeah, sometimes you get little characters like that that just show up through the book, and I'm thinking, wait, how did that happen? But not saying a word. So yes, the first story arc is all about this character named Cameron Nemo, this demon, and what are all those demons, and this other villain known as Archibald Scythe. Now, she does have a supporting cast, and it starts growing. Like, you have the furries. Did I say furries? The Furies. Damn it, Tina, you would be proud of me. The Furies that show up and help her along the way. And of course, Barbed Wire. As a matter of fact, the first story arc has this big, like event that has X and Barbed Wire helping her. One of my favorite issues through here that I've never read. So I've read only like the first 20 plus issues here. The last part I've never read, but one of my favorite issues that I got to read through here is the one where she goes on a road trip with Barbed Wire. Like, Barbed Wire gets her a bike and they go on a road trip together. The second story arc introduces us to a character named Crooks. And Crooks apparently is this old guy who kind of looks like the, this guy right here. Almost compared him to the Spider Jerusalem character from Transmetropolitan. I also forgot to mention that King Tiger plays an important part through here. But Crooks plays a huge role as a big villain. And more characters get introduced through here, like Hob, who's this little goblin. A bunch of the little goblins get introduced through the second story arc. And again, you have X and other characters from the Dark Horse comics at the time playing a big, important role in her life. And then in the third arc, I don't want to talk too much about it, you still have to deal with Crux, and you have to deal with this new villain named Silhouette. I love the character of Jennifer and her ties to Peter, and this is Hob, by the way, who, don't let him fool you, he's adorable, but something's a little off with him. Now, this character of Silhouette also plays a huge important part through here, and there's a big reveal that happens later on as to how big of a part she played in Eliza's life before she became this spirit of vengeance. So yes, more is revealed through here. I mean, you got to go through a lot of issues to find out more about Eliza's background, who she was, who her love interest was, and then building that weird rapport again with the character of Peter that keeps going to the graveside, and he ends up in a coma, and you can find out exactly how he got there and what exactly he has to do with the character of Eliza, even if their lives had met before she passed away. And then what happens if she can become tangible? Can she come back to life? And what happened to her family? A lot of bad girl art during this era too. So, as I mentioned, you had Adam Hughes, you've got Terry Dodson, you've got Doug Braithwaite, Ivan Hayes. There's an actual issue here, this one here, that has some early John Cassaday artwork before, of course, Astonishing X-Men, or before he became John Cassaday. A lot of artwork in here from the H.M. Baker and Bob Wyzek. And let's look in the back here, because what we have here in the back are the Dark Horse Presents stories, and Bane is the big artist through here. He did some internal artwork for the main story arcs too. Those are mainly done in black and white. And then you have the Deadly Game here, which was part of the Dark Horse action figure comic #1, Ghost. This is penciled by Scott Benefield. And this is the relaunch of Ghost. So there'll be another, when Volume 2 of the Compendium comes out, that will have those issues. But this is kind of like the ash can of what's to come, who her villains are. Hey, this kind of tells you Crooks right here, and the character of Dr. October, Barbed Wire, and X, and then of course Silhouette that I mentioned, and Focus, who I didn't really talk about. She plays a bigger part, I think, in the second compendium. You get some actual extras. It's not just the main stories. You get original sketches and art here from Adam Hughes. And then this piece right here by Matt Haley. Now, a majority of this book is written all by Erik Luke. And I mean, like 90% of this book is written by Erik Luke. So, what I meant earlier that this had been, I guess, well, no, as they said at the very beginning, if you look at the introduction again, that this was curated as the ghost stories in 1100 pages. And what I saw missing in here, the only thing that I saw missing for some reason, is the Hellboy crossover. Like, they mention it, that she did get to meet Hellboy, but it's not collected in here. Or maybe I missed it when I went all the way to issue 25. The was like the fantasy story. Those are the issues I hadn't read, and I read from there on. But I did not see it in here. Now, let's look at the build, because to me that's one of the most important things when you're looking at a book that has 1100 pages. And I went from cover to cover. Yes, I had read these stories before, and I skipped a lot to get to those issues that I hadn't read, but I gave it the fair treatment, as I always do these compendiums, because I want people to know. And as you can see, there is, maybe you can't, no crease. That little ding, that's on me. I did that. And I think there's no crease because what they did with this, hope you can see it, it's kind of like a curved hinges here. So the book opens up a little bit better. Maybe that design will work. I don't know. Because compendiums are built better these days. They, like a lot of the DC compendiums and Image compendiums, don't really crease. I think I can think of 2 right off the top of my head. But it is glued binding. And there were some double page spreads through here that you saw, so you're going to have a little bit of gutter loss. And printed in this glossy paper stock. Not the thickest, but honestly not the thinnest. But there is some bleed through happening. But maybe they figured it out. We will see if it holds up another reading. Volume 2 is scheduled to come out in 2026, containing the second series. But that is it. That is what Ghost is. And that, as they say, is that. If you're interested in purchasing this compendium, don't forget to check out our sponsors.
If you're in Europe and you're interested in buying these books, definitely check out Walt's Comic Shop in Berlin, Germany. They have the cheapest pre-order prices, flat shipping rate of €12 for all EU countries, emails answered within 24 hours, waltscomicshop.com, and you can use the code nearmintcondition at checkout and get free shipping for all EU countries with your first order over €40. That's Walt's Comic Shop, your reliable source for omnis and premium collected editions in Europe. Ding!
CheapGraphicNovels.com, your online home for graphic novels and collected editions up to 50% off cover price. They have excellent shipping and prompt and helpful service. Check out their bargain deals for up to 90% off cover price. And don't forget, the CGN also takes pre-orders. That way you don't miss out on the hottest releases. And they are currently running a special promotion for you Minties. If you're a first-time customer, after receiving your order confirmation email, reply back to that email and let them know Near Mint Condition sent you their way. They will then apply a free shipping promotional credit to your next order in the US. Cheap Graphic Novels, your source for the hottest books with the kind of deep discount, quality shipping, and customer service that will keep you coming back for more. And that was the content, the page count, and build of this compendium. In the comments down below, let me know if you've been waiting for a collection like this, if you're a huge fan of Ghost, and you've been wanting to check out Elisa's adventures in any kind of format, or if you're waiting around, maybe one day, for a big, thick collection like the Hellboy monster-sized book, or the Big Damn Sin City. I would love to know all those comments down below. Smash that like button on the way out. Everyone stay healthy and safe out there. Much love.